Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talkory.
Hey there, it's so great to have you back with us. I'm Jake.
And I'm Emma. How is everyone doing today?
We hope you've been enjoying our podcast so far.
In our first episode, we talked about Steve Jobs and how he changed technology.
And in our second episode, we learned about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his fight for equality and justice.
Today, we have something very special. We're going to talk about an incredible woman who changed science forever.
That's right. And I'm really excited about this episode because this person broke so many barriers.
Can our listeners guess who it is?
Let me give you some hints. This person was a scientist. She studied chemistry and physics.
She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize.
Not just one Nobel Prize. She won 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences.
And she's still the only woman to have won Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields.
Today we're talking about Marie Curie.
You know, Jake, when I was in school, I learned that Marie Curie discovered radium. But I never really knew her full story.
Me too. I didn't know how difficult her life was. She faced so many challenges.
Exactly. She was a woman in a time when women weren't allowed to study at universities in many places.
She was poor. She was discriminated against. But she never gave up.
Here's an interesting fact. Did you know that Marie Curie had to study in secret when she was young?
Really? Why?
Because in Poland, where she grew up, the Russian government didn't allow Polish people to have their own schools and universities.
That's terrible. So what did she do?
She attended secret classes called the Flying University. Teachers and students would meet in different houses to avoid the police.
Wow! She was breaking the law just to learn.
Exactly. And here's another amazing fact. When Marie finally moved to Paris to study at the Sorbonne, she was so poor that she sometimes fainted from hunger.
That's heartbreaking. But she kept studying?
Yes, she was so determined. Nothing could stop her passion for science.
You know what I find most inspiring about Marie Curie?
What?
She didn't just want to be successful for herself. She wanted to help people. Her discoveries have saved millions of lives.
That's so true. Her work on radioactivity led to new treatments for cancer and other diseases.
And she did all of this over 100 years ago, when women had very few rights.
She proved that women could be brilliant scientists, just like men.
I think her story will inspire so many of our listeners, especially young women who want to study science.
Absolutely. So, are you ready to hear the full story of Marie Curie?
I can't wait. Let's begin.
Marie Curie was born Maria Sklodowska on November 7, 1867, in Warsaw, Poland. But at that time, Poland was not a free country. It was controlled by the Russian Empire. Marie's father was a teacher of mathematics and physics. Her mother was also a teacher and ran a school for girls. Marie grew up in a family that loved learning and education. But Marie's childhood was not easy. When she was only 8 years old, her oldest sister died of typhus. 2 years later, when Marie was 10, her mother died of tuberculosis. These were terrible losses for young Marie. The Russian government made life very difficult for Polish people. They weren't allowed to speak Polish in schools. They had to speak Russian. Polish books were forbidden. Polish culture was being destroyed. But Marie's father secretly taught his children about Polish history and culture. He also taught them science and mathematics. Marie showed an extraordinary talent for learning. She had an amazing memory and could solve difficult problems easily. At school, Marie was the best student in her class. She loved to read and study. When she graduated from high school at age 15, she won a gold medal for being the top student. Marie dreamed of going to university, but there was a big problem. Women were not allowed to attend the University of Warsaw. In fact, most universities in Europe didn't accept women at all. Marie and her sister Branya were determined to get a university education. They made a plan. Marie would work as a governess, a private teacher for rich families, and send money to Brogna so she could study medicine in Paris. Then, when Brogna finished, she would help Marie come to Paris to study. For 6 years, Marie worked as a governess. It was hard work. She taught children and took care of them all day. But every night, she studied on her own. She read books about mathematics, physics, and chemistry. During this time, Marie also attended the Flying University, secret classes that moved from house to house to avoid Russian police. This was dangerous. If they were caught, they could be arrested or sent to Siberia. Finally, in 1891, when Marie was 24 years old, she had saved enough money. Her sister Brogna was now a doctor in Paris and could help her. Marie left Poland and moved to Paris to study at the famous Sorbonne University. Life in Paris was extremely difficult for Marie. She lived in a tiny, cold attic room. She had very little money for food and heat. In winter, it was so cold that the water in her room would freeze. She would pile all her clothes on her bed just to stay warm. Sometimes she was so hungry that she fainted during classes. But Marie didn't care about these difficulties. She was finally able to study science at a real university. She attended every lecture. She worked in the laboratory every day. She studied late into the night. The other students at the Sorbonne were almost all men. Many people thought women couldn't understand science, but Marie proved them wrong. She worked harder than anyone else. In 1893, Marie earned her degree in physics. She was first in her class. The next year, she earned a second degree in mathematics. Again, she was one of the top students. In 1894, Marie met Pierre Curie. Pierre was a scientist and professor. He was studying crystals and magnetism. Like Marie, he was completely dedicated to science. Pierre and Marie fell in love. They had so much in common. They both loved science. They both believed that scientific knowledge should help humanity. They both were willing to sacrifice everything for their research. In 1895, Marie and Pierre got married. It was a simple wedding. Marie didn't even wear a white dress. She wore a dark blue dress that she could use in the laboratory later. Marie and Pierre became not just husband and wife, but also scientific partners. They worked together in the laboratory every day. They discussed their experiments and shared their ideas. In 1896, a French scientist named Henri Becquerel discovered something strange. Uranium, a heavy metal, gave off mysterious rays of energy. No one understood what these rays were. Marie decided to study this phenomenon for her doctoral thesis. She wanted to know what was causing these rays. Were there other elements that gave off similar rays? Marie began testing different materials. She used an instrument that Pierre and his brother had invented to measure electricity. She discovered something amazing. Another element called thorium also gave off these mysterious rays. Marie called this phenomenon radioactivity. She invented this word. She found that radioactivity was an atomic property. It came from inside the atoms themselves. Then Marie made an even more exciting discovery. Some materials, like a mineral called pitchblende, were much more radioactive than pure uranium. This meant there must be other, unknown elements in the pitchblende, elements even more radioactive than uranium. Pierre was so excited by Marie's discoveries that he stopped his own research to help her. Together, they began the difficult work of trying to find these new elements. They worked in terrible conditions. Their laboratory was an old, abandoned shed. It was hot in summer and freezing in winter. The roof leaked when it rained. There was no proper equipment. Marie and Pierre had to process tons of pitchblende to find tiny amounts of the new elements. Marie would stir huge pots of boiling material for hours. Her hands were burned by acids. Her clothes were covered in stains. For 4 years, they worked almost day and night. They were exhausted. They had very little money, but they never gave up. Finally, in 1898, they announced the discovery of two new elements. The first they named polonium, after Marie's homeland of Poland. The second they named radium, which means ray in Latin. Radium glowed in the dark with a beautiful blue-green light. Marie and Pierre would sometimes go to their laboratory at night just to look at the glowing radium. It was like magic. In 1903, Marie became the first woman in France to receive a doctoral degree in physics. That same year, Marie and Pierre Curie, along with Henri Becquerel, were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics for their work on radioactivity. Marie was the first woman ever to win a Nobel Prize. She was becoming famous around the world. In 1904, Marie and Pierre had their second daughter, Eve. Their first daughter, Irene, was born in 1897. Life seemed perfect. They had their beautiful daughters, they had their scientific work, and they were finally being recognized. But tragedy struck on April 19, 1906. Pierre was walking in the rain on a busy Paris street. He slipped and fell under a horse-drawn wagon. He was killed instantly. Marie was devastated. She had lost her husband, her best friend, and her scientific partner. She was only 38 years old with two young daughters to raise alone. Many people thought Marie would give up science, but she didn't. She took over Pierre's position at the Sorbonne, becoming the first female professor at this famous university. Marie threw herself into her work. She wanted to honor Pierre's memory by continuing their research. In 1911, Marie won a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for isolating pure radium and discovering its properties. She was the first person ever to win 2 Nobel Prizes. But life was still difficult. Some people in France criticized her. They said terrible things about her because she was a woman in a man's world. Some people were jealous of her success. Marie didn't let this stop her. She continued her research. She trained new scientists. She built a research institute called the Radium Institute. When World War I began in 1914, Marie wanted to help. She realized that X-rays could help doctors find bullets and broken bones in wounded soldiers. Marie created mobile X-ray units, small trucks equipped with X-ray machines. She called them petites curies. She drove these trucks to the battlefields herself. Marie and her daughter Irene trained people to use the X-ray equipment. They helped treat over 1 million wounded soldiers during the war. After the war, Marie continued her research at the Radium Institute. She also traveled around the world, giving lectures and raising money for scientific research. Marie trained many young scientists, including her own daughter Irene, who would later win a Nobel Prize in chemistry too. By the 1920s, Marie's health was getting worse. Years of exposure to radiation had damaged her body. At that time, people didn't know how dangerous radiation could be. Marie and Pierre had handled radioactive materials with their bare hands. On July 4, 1934, at the age of 66, Marie Curie died from aplastic anemia, a disease caused by radiation exposure. She had literally given her life for science. Marie Curie's legacy is enormous. Her research opened up entirely new fields of science. Her work on radioactivity led to new treatments for cancer and other diseases. X-rays, which save countless lives every day, came from research she helped pioneer. But beyond her scientific achievements, Marie Curie showed the world that women could be brilliant scientists. She broke barriers and opened doors for all the women scientists who came after her. Today, Marie Curie is remembered as one of the greatest scientists in history. Her name is known around the world. She proved that with passion, determination, and hard work, anyone can change the world, regardless of gender, nationality, or circumstances. As Marie herself once said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less."
Wow, Jake. What an incredible story.
I know, right? Marie Curie faced so many obstacles, but she never gave up on her dreams.
What impressed me most was her determination. She was poor, she was hungry, she was cold, but she kept studying.
And think about the discrimination she faced. Women weren't even allowed to study at most universities.
Exactly. But she didn't let that stop her. She found a way.
You know what really touched my heart? The partnership between Marie and Pierre.
Oh, yes. They truly supported each other. Pierre didn't see Marie as just his wife. He saw her as an equal partner in science.
That was very rare in those days. Most men didn't believe women could be scientists.
Pierre recognized Marie's genius, and when she made her discoveries, he actually stopped his own research to help her.
That shows true love and respect. He wanted her to succeed.
And after Pierre died, Marie could have given up. But she didn't. She became even more determined.
She took his position at the Sorbonne and became the first female professor there.
That must have been so difficult, being a widow, raising two daughters alone, and working in a field where most people didn't want women.
But she did it, and she won a second Nobel Prize.
She's still the only woman to have won Nobel Prizes in two different sciences.
You know what else I find amazing? During World War I, when she was already famous, she still drove those X-ray trucks to the battlefield herself.
Yes, she could have stayed safe in Paris, but she wanted to help. She believed science should serve humanity.
That's a really important lesson. Knowledge isn't just for personal glory, it's for helping others.
Absolutely. And sadly, Marie didn't even know that radiation was killing her. She and Pierre handled radioactive materials without any protection.
That's heartbreaking. She literally gave her life for science.
But because of her sacrifice, we now know about the dangers of radiation, and her research has saved millions of lives through cancer treatment and medical imaging.
So her work continues to help people even today, almost 100 years after her death.
You know, Jake, I think Marie Curie's story is especially important for young girls and women,
Why do you say that?
because even today, women are underrepresented in science and technology. Marie Curie showed that women can be brilliant scientists.
That's so true. She proved that gender doesn't determine intelligence or capability.
Exactly. If you have passion and you work hard, you can achieve anything.
And she didn't just open doors for herself. She opened doors for all the women scientists who came after her.
Her daughter Irene won a Nobel Prize in chemistry, too.
That's right. The Curie family is the most successful family in Nobel Prize history.
It really shows how important it is to encourage young people, especially girls, to study science.
Marie Curie once said, "Be less curious about people and more curious about ideas."
That's beautiful. She was telling us to focus on learning and discovery, not on gossip or what other people think.
Right. She faced so much criticism and gossip in her life, but she ignored it and focused on her work.
That's another important lesson. Don't let other people's negativity stop you from pursuing your dreams.
Well said, Emma. Now, we want to hear from all of you watching. What inspired you most about Marie Curie's story? Do you think you could have persevered through the challenges she faced?
Yes, and we especially want to hear from our female viewers. Has Marie Curie's story inspired you to pursue science or any other dream? Tell us in the comments below.
We read every comment, and we love hearing your thoughts. Your stories inspire us too.
And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed learning about Marie Curie. It really helps us reach more people who want to learn English. Well, that's all for today's episode of Talkory.
We hope Marie Curie's story inspired you as much as it inspired us.
Her life shows us that no obstacle is too big if we have passion and determination.
She faced poverty, discrimination, tragedy, and criticism. But she never gave up.
She proved that women can be brilliant scientists and leaders.
And her discoveries have saved millions of lives and opened up entirely new fields of science.
Before we go, please don't forget to subscribe to Talkory if you haven't already.
Hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when we release our next episode.
And if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends who are learning English.
Tell us in the comments. What did you learn today? What inspired you most?
We love reading your comments and hearing from you.
Also, if you haven't watched our previous episodes about Steve Jobs and Martin Luther King Jr., go check them out.
Each episode teaches you English while sharing inspiring stories about people who changed the world.
Keep practicing your English, everyone.
And remember Marie Curie's words, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood."
Stay curious. Keep learning.
Thank you for watching Talkory. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.